So far, you have been introduced to reading notation using finger number and rhythms only, and then alpha notes, which had the names of the notes in the middle of the note heads. Now you're going to be moving to reading on the staff, which is how music generally is presented. In this unit, you're only going to be working with a reduced staff. So, in this lesson, we're going to be looking at two pieces that are written on a reduced staff. The first one is called Little Tune, and the second one is called the Cowgirl. Little Tune begins with a simple melody in the right hand that is immediately answered by a simple melody in the left hand. You want to remember to always play with a smooth legato sound in Little Tune because it has a long phrase over the notes. The first thing I would like to do is notice where my hands are going to fall, where my hands are going to be placed on the piano, and I see that I am in D minor 5-finger position. The low note is D. I'm also going to notice that the first line of this tune is played completely by the right hand, and the second line is played completely by the left hand. One line of music will have two different areas, one for the right hand and one for the left hand. The right hand will be placed on top, the left hand will be placed on bottom, and they will be connected by a brace. That is one line of music, and that's why I'm saying that the first line is only for the right hand and the second line is only for the left hand. Next, I want to notice that I start with finger number 3 in the right hand, and that would mean I'm playing an F. And I want to carefully look for intervals, and because of where we are in the curriculum, your only choices are going to be seconds, thirds, and repeats. So that's really kind of limited, so it shouldn't be too hard to notice that I'm going down a second, up a second, down a third, and straight up 5 notes. I can tell because it's going space, line, space, line, space, and then straight down, and I've stopped on an E. Then my left hand is also in 5-finger position. It's starting on 3, which is also an F, and I'm noticing that I'm going up a step, down a step, and here's my skip right there, and then I'm walking straight down, and then up a skip again, and down a skip. Remember that skips are going to go from a space to a space or a line to a line. In this piece, I only have space, space, skips. I might tap the rhythm out first. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I want to practice all the separate components so that when I go to play my hands together, I'm not overwhelmed by things. All right. Now I also notice that I have a piano and a forte sign. Piano for line 1, forte for line 2. But I think for my first try, I'm just going to try to get my intervals correct, my fingerings, and my notes correct. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I didn't have any difficulty with that, but if you did, say for example you had difficulty with measures 7 to 8, because those are weak fingers, 5 to 3, you might just pull that out and practice it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And just oscillate between those two fingerings. That can help you too. So you work on the feel of it. Then try putting it in context. I'm going to start with measure 6. 6. practice on that. Now I'm going to try it with the dynamics. 1, 2, 3, 4. Little tune does not have an accompaniment that goes with it, so it's just all you on that one. The Cowgirl is a little different. In the Cowgirl, rather than having a phrase completely played by the right hand or completely played by the left hand, the melody is tossed between the two hands. So you'll see a slur going from the right hand staff to the left hand staff. So we're going to take a little bit more care with that to be sure we really understand how that's done. The Cowgirl has some different issues with it. The Cowgirl, which is kind of a cowboy tune, I guess it's a cowgirl tune, has a melody that is shared between the right hand and the left hand. Not like Little Tune where the right hand played one phrase by itself and then the left hand played one phrase by itself. When you look at the score, you can see these areas where the tune is going from the left hand to the right hand and back. You see that all throughout the piece. It's only a couple of places where it doesn't actually do that. You also should notice that there's a repeat sign at the end, and there's a piano dash forte dynamic marking, which means the first time you're going to play soft, the second time you're going to play loud. Watch that whole measure of rest at the end. Sometimes it's easy to miscount that. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to practice just the rhythms. And because I like to do things with audio files, I'm going to play the audio file, the practice version, as I tap. 1, 2, 3, 4. Left, right. 3, 4. Left, left. 3, 4. Left, right, left, left, left. 2, 3, 4. Right, left, 3, 4. Right, left, right, right. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest. Right, right, right. Tie. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Repeat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. I got a cat helping me here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest. 1, 3, 4. Tie. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, if you notice those paws walking across the top of the piano, that was my cat. Okay, so now I'm going to look at the intervals, and let's start by looking at the right hand. The right hand is actually pretty stable. It doesn't do that much. If I look at all the right hand parts, I'm actually noticing that I only use two fingers. Fingers number 2 and finger number 2 and finger number 3. On line 1, I'm only using finger number 2, and on line 2, I'm using finger number 3, and then I step down to finger number 2 in bar 7, and in bar 9, I go 2 to 3, because I'm going up a skip right there. All right? So that means it's very limited in terms of the fingers. The left hand uses 3 fingers. All right? And I'm noticing that I start with finger 2 in bar 1, and then I go down a skip in bar 2, and then back up a step to finger 2, repeat that finger, and then go down a skip. That cat. I hope you're enjoying my cat. Line 2, this is probably the only class you take where the teacher brings a cat to class. All right, line 2, it's 4, finger 4, and then at the end of the line it goes up a skip to 2, but you know, you don't really even have to think about that because the finger numbers are given to you. And then in the bottom line, you have finger number 3. It walks up a step, and then it goes down a skip. So what I'm going to do with the audio file is practice that, not on the piano. I think what I'm going to do this time is practice that on the fall board with just the finger numbers, so I don't have to, I can really focus on what I'm doing there. Here goes. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 'Has requires that you play legato when you go from one hand to the other. That's like the legato coordination drill you did last week, where you had to practice making your sounds touch. It's not going to be like this. It's going to be like this, where I have a moment where my fingers are going down together. Okay, so if you're having trouble with that, go back and review that legato coordination drill. Okay? Okay, now I think I'm ready to play it, so I'm going to look at what my hand position is, and in this diagram you can see that it says thumbs share C. Okay? That thumb share C can be a little awkward, but try to keep you don't have to keep your thumbs right next to each other like this. You can have them kind of separated, like on the key, one closer to the black key and one closer to the white key. If you try to put them next to each other, you're going to be really crowded in there, especially if your hand is big. My hand's small, and I'm crowded. So I'm probably going to, you know, have them staggered, or even maybe not even have my thumb there. You know, I don't need my thumb for this song. There are no thumbs in this song, so actually I could do that. Okay, so maybe that's the better option. It's a little more comfortable. All right, so I'm going to play the faster version. Start this baby, and here we go. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sounded better up here, or I could also shift down an octave on the repeat to give it some variety. So I think I'm going to record this again. I'm going to do the soft version low, and then in that 4-beat rest at the very end, I'm going to move up real quickly, and then I'm going to play in the other octave. So let's see how that sounds. 2, ready, go. That was the Cowgirl and the Cat. I hope you enjoyed that tune. I'm originally from Texas, so of course every Texan has to have a cowboy tune in their repertoire. All right, you guys have fun.